Yes, the CSX Garrett subdivision. I have a, interesting relationship with this subdivision. Sometimes it's the greatest rail fanning location in the state, and sometimes it makes me want to pull my hair out. This is the story of why, in the form of two short trips to the Garrett sub. And you can't see it right now, but when I said short, I did air quotes because, oh boy. The first of these two trips was on July 26th, 2026. On this day, CSX 1900, the Seaboard Airline Heritage Unit, had went through the Delshler rail cam. Yet note the time in the top corner, 1:16 p.m. You see, I-157 is a very fast train, and there have been several instances where I got to Walkerton to catch it, only to find out that it went through 2 hours before it even got there. So, only an hour and a half after it passed the cam, me and my grandpa headed down to Walkerton in an attempt to see it, on this fairly hot day. We've been having a cool wave in Indiana recently, which has been so nice, but this day was like the one that was actually seasonally warm. So, just keep that in mind for what's about to happen. Either way, once we got there, it was about 45 minutes of absolute dead before finally we got our first train, which was I-134 heading eastbound with junk power. And very soon after that passed, we saw the headlights of an intermodal in the distance, and I said a statement that I would live to regret for the rest of the day.
This is it, baby.
All right.
Wow, what an effective tracking system.
Needless to say, it was not our target. It was CSX I-115, which had gone through Delshler 2.5 hours before I-157. To say this made us nervous would be an understatement, but at least it had an unrebuilt AC-44s in mid-DPU. Shortly after, CSX I-116 appeared from out of the blue, which is a terrible phrase to use because the power was in fact not blue, since it was a CPKC Tier 4 GEVO. However, the mid-DPU was the real special part, since it was CPKC 7470, the Cancer Awareness Unit. But with I-116 now gone, it was time for us to experience the hands-down worst part of the CSX Garrett subdivision, the dead periods. The last 3 trains had all come within half an hour, but following I-166, for the next full hour, there was zero sign of any trains. As a result, I decided to cross the tracks and look at the abandoned Elkhart and Western trackage on the other side, which was actually recently bought by the South Shore Freight, with plans to reopen it as far south as Walkerton, so I'm excited to see that. But, as it always does, eventually the dead period had to end, which happened when CSX M359 showed up with a quartet of GEVOs, the last 2 being the ones I'd seen powering B157 during the last Walkerton trip. After that, the line went dead again, but thankfully for only 45 minutes this time before B652 showed up. By this point, we were fed up, extremely hot, and just wanted to go home. So when this train showed up, we were like, yes! Based on the Dessler train log, I thought that this had to either be B157 or I-157, but nope, it was this train, which had gone through Dessler hours and hours and hours before I even started watching the cam, but it worked Garrett for a long time, so that's why it showed up while we were here. And of course, the power was boring. Not knowing the info I know now, after that train passed, I was extremely confused and spent the next 5 minutes just staring at the Dessler log, wondering what in the world was happening. Which was long enough for another train to show up. Another train that was not I-157 either. It was M252, which I had seen on the Dessler log, but not on the cam since it took the turn and didn't go by the static cam. But at least it had a map trailing. And just as that train cleared, we finally saw I-157 in the distance.
People. Freedom. Look at that. That's an intermodal.
Yeah, I think my reaction shows pretty well what I was feeling like in this moment. But hey, I got the train, so I'm not going to complain. And 3 days later, on July 29th, I went on a trip that perfectly shows the second worst part of the CSX Garrett subdivision. Everything good seems to run at night. And in this case, the everything good was UP 1982 trailing second on CSX I-191. This is the UP transfer intermodal, so you tend to get UP heritage units on here every few months or so. I really wanted to see this unit despite the fact that it was trailing because I own it as a model and have for several years. So at around 9 p.m., me and my mom made our way to Walkerton to try and see it. As you'd expect, it was nearly pitch black by the time we got there, and the very last of the sun dipped below the horizon just as our first train was arriving, which was CSX B158 screaming eastbound with garbage. Thankfully, unlike the first trip in this video, the train action on this night was very frequent, with the next train being CSX X566 with CSX 7393, a very fresh and shiny rebuild, in the lead. I decided to switch sides of the track for this shot, which was definitely a good idea. As soon as the tail end of that train cleared, I saw headlight glare on the curve and thought that I-191 must be here. But nope, it was M567 with a solo Gevo. Lovely. But after that, more headlight glare on the curve soon appeared, and I-191 rounded it at quite some speed with the beautiful Mopac Heritage Unit trailing second, and I totally didn't royally butcher the shot. In addition to me, my mom also filmed the train, getting a shot with my aforementioned model of UP 1982 in view. And following that, we left, and now it's time for you to do the same. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to catch those units while you can, especially the ones that are on this very weird subdivision, and I will see you in the next video.